And welcome back, and now we're along with Risco basketball coach Brandon Blankenship. And coming off a big win last night, you've got to be feeling excited with that big win over Leopold.
We were excited just to get the chance to play. I mean, we had a 3-week layoff. December 16th was our last game that we had played, and practice. It's like the preseason again, and. But a chance to get back and to step right in, playing a tough game against a very tough Leopold team.
And Leopold's looked very well this year. Of course, they ranked in the top 10 in the state, such as you all are. I think at number 6 in the state in Class 1. And they've been playing teams such as Jackson very close. It's all the way up in Class 5 in that Christmas tournament up in Cape. So, he had a tough task with the kind of different style that they play other than you. They're not small and quick like you all, but they play a little more methodical, very much size underneath, with about 6'5", 6'6",
right.
And a very talented kid in Stroder. He really had a really nice game last night.
He did. He's tough. We knew going in about their size, and we went and scouted them. We watched them play in the Christmas tournament against Scott County Central. Now, Scott County played well and Leopold didn't, but we knew Leopold was a lot better than what they showed that night. And we just knew, to stick with our game plan, which is try to get them up and down the court and try to run and push as quick as we can go and as hard as we can go, and it worked out.
Sure. And you got off to a little slow start. They came out in a zone, and, of course, they have that size, so I think your guys kind of early on took advantage of the three-point shot that was there, but I tell you that it's a little different when you're playing team with size like that in a zone because, in smaller teams, that three-point shot's a little easier to get off, but team with length, such as Leopold, they kind of cover the perimeter probably a little better than your typical zone team. So it seemed like your players took advantage of the three, but some of them were more contested than I think they expected. And then from the second quarter on, we really saw Chris Pavey take advantage of the paint, really got into the paint, mixed things up, and that opened up things from the outside, and you had Bixler, Fowler, and even Pavey shooting very well from the outside.
Right. I mean, we talked about it even with on our small court, too. That makes a difference because when a big team gets on our court and they spread out, then they're really out there checking shots. And I think that was key. Once we started driving to the basket, once Pavey started going to the hole and kind of opening things up, that really did. That really made them collapse. We was able to kick the shooters in, and it helped out a lot.
It
was huge.
Shot the ball very well, but you've shot the ball well all year, and that's a big key to y'all's game because you don't have much size. Of course, you've got pretty much 4 guards out there at once.
Right.
And you shot the ball very well from the second quarter on. Lights out, I thought. And, what makes it go is Chris Pavey, getting into the paint, and when he's so quick, he's probably one of the quickest guards in the area.
Right.
He gets to the paint, and the zone has no choice but to collapse because if you don't, he's going straight to the cup, and he'll finish every time. He finishes great, and once that happened, Bixler and Fowler and even Jordan Pavey Austin White was getting opportunities from the perimeter, and you all took advantage of it. And that pretty much at that point, in the second half, you got early turnovers, the pressure on Leopold in the full court. Luke Bixler came away with about 2 or 3 steals in a row on that full court press, easy baskets, and pretty much at that point, you all put it away in the third quarter.
I mean, that's what we try to do. We just try to keep pushing and keep going as fast as we can. And I always tell them, preach to them that the run will happen. The run, we may not get it early. We may miss several shots early, depending on how we're shooting that night. But if we keep the pressure up and we keep the momentum in our favor, the run will happen. We'll rattle off 10, 12 points in a row, and the kids believe that. They believe that, so they don't really worry about missing shots that much at the beginning. And we've got several guys we feel confident in shooting the basketball from 3. So we tell them, just keep shooting, keep putting them up, and good things will happen.
Sure, and it sure turned out well last night for you. And coming in, you're undefeated, only remaining undefeated team in Southeast Missouri.
Thanks for reminding us.
Yeah. It's warranted. You're playing good ball, and coming in, people kind of overlook Risco typically because of course it's a small school, small area, and playing out of the Tri-County Conference, it doesn't really produce a team that's going to make a state run every year. But now being Leopold, people are going to look at Risco much differently now that they're going to be up there in the top tier of the Class 1 in our area up there with Scott County Central. So at this point, you've got to pretty much put you all down as one of the top teams in Class 1 in the area, which, of course, you're coming off 2 straight district titles, so you can expect that. But with the team you've got this year going up against the rest of the Class 1 field, you certainly size up well. And I tell you, it's as quick as you all play, as fast as you all play, and how you execute both offensively and defensively, certainly going to be a tough task to deal with come down the line for the remainder of the season, no matter who you play.
Right. I mean, first off, I'm just blessed with a lot of great kids. I mean, the kid, I couldn't ask for any better kids, any better people, first off, and then they just come in every day and they work their tails off. I mean, they go through everything that we put them through, and they try to do it full speed. And I really feel like probably the biggest asset that we have is I think we're a team. I mean, I really think we're a team. I think we have guys that are unselfish. I think we have guys that don't really care, who scores it as long as the job gets done. And that's, that's a huge plus, because if you've got that first, man, then all the other stuff seems to line up and fall into place. Mm-hmm. If you got your top guys on your team that's, pulling everybody together, that's a good thing.
That's what I was really impressed with. Of course, when you play what I call a fast and furious style, such as you all play, both offensively and defensively, that's a hard style to play. People just think, well, you just play fast, just up and down, and there's a lot more to it than that. But I was really impressed with the way each player bought into that style. And the thing is, if one player doesn't buy in and play their certain role, it could look ugly. It can look ugly at that point. But every player that's on that court understands their role in that scheme, and that's the way it's executed so well. And each player that's out there, they know their role in that scheme, and they perform it well. And that's what makes it go, and both offensively and defensively. So that's what I was most impressed with, because if you just play fast up and down and everybody's just basically playing the same role, that's where it gets to look ugly. But you all executed quite well.
I think it's shown itself, because we've had 4 different guys lead us in scoring this year. Mm-hmm. We have 4 guys averaging double figures. And we have other guys who, Hunter Knight, people don't talk about him very much because he doesn't score. He's not in the scoring column all that much. But he does all the other little things that a good team has to have people do. I mean, he's the one out there setting screens. He's the one out there going to the boards every single time. He's catching it in the high post, looking to skip opposite to those shooters. I mean, he does all those little things that makes us that much better.
Yeah, we talked about him last night being the muscle for y'all. And, of course, you're quite small. You'll have I can play 4 guards at one time, and a lot of times he's the only one in there with the size and the strength underneath. And many times last night he was getting in there, getting offensive boards, and getting putbacks and going to the line and doing those small things, and getting the other players in position to score. And that's important too, to make that extra pass to the guy that's open and to hitting the shot. And he really provides a great asset to y'all in that regard as well. There's always that setup guy, and he's that for y'all, and I tell you, he's physical underneath too, and y'all need that, because with the lack of size that y'all have underneath, he really makes up for it with his physicality.
Yeah, he's a good defensive player too. He's got the long arms, long reach. He's smart with it. He gets his hands on a lot of passes, gets his hands on a lot of rebounds. Even if he doesn't get the rebound, a lot of times he'll tip it to somebody. And he really works well for us in there. I thought our bench guys did a good job. We got in foul trouble there in that second quarter, and Caleb McCord and Matt Cummins come off the bench and had a spark, and we didn't lose anything when they come in the game for sure. They come in and hit a couple shots and made some nice plays, and they filled in well for us. And those guys know their role, and that's all part of it as well.
Sure.
Jordan Pavey was big off the bench last night with 16 points. He's our sophomore. He's up and coming, but he played well, and it's good to get him going and get him going in the scoring column as well.
I mean, he looked good too. And something about those Pavey boys, they play as sophomores, underclassmen, and they fit right in with the seniors. They develop well.
Well, and Jordan's always been going against Chris and Luke and Jeremy and those guys his whole life. So. He's had the competition there. He better come up and play, and if not, he better step up his game and play, because if not, those guys will run over him. So.
Sure. And speaking of your season so far, you've got an impressive season. You've got wins over Holcomb, which out of the Tri-County as well. Holcomb's got a tough team, and it's probably going to come down to you all and Holcomb in that Tri-County if everything plays out. And I'd see that matchup once again this year. And you've got an impressive win over Gosnell earlier in the year. They're always a tough team out of there in Northeast Arkansas. So, it's not like you've played just a cupcake schedule so far. You've beat some pretty good teams, and you've got some other teams coming up in the schedule that are going to be some tougher opponents as well.
It's probably been the knock on us is that maybe our schedule hasn't been as tough. Some people out there kind of say that we're not playing Jackson and Cape and those teams like that. So, but I think that Bernie tournament is just as tough as any preseason tournament or first of the year tournament. With Bloomfield, with Bernie, Bloomfield, Holcomb, Twin Rivers, all those teams in it. And to win that tournament, that was a goal for our kids this year. They really wanted to win that tournament. Risco had only won it one time, and or maybe I don't even think we'd won it. Maybe we'd just been in the championship game back in the 70s. So our kids had set a goal for themselves. Hey, we want to come out and win this first tournament, and and then Oran. We go up and play Oran, who's historically good, and is putting together a pretty good season now. We go up and have a really good game and beat them by 40 up there. So, we have been knocked a little bit for maybe not having the toughest schedule, but you just got to play the games that you have on the schedule, and we have next Saturday, where we got Clarkton coming up on Tuesday next week. A tough Tri-County matchup, and then Campbell on Friday, but then we go across the river to Meridian and play over there, and Meridian was ranked number 1 in the state in Illinois a couple weeks ago. When Charleston beat them, I think Charleston only beat them by 5, and it was right after Charleston had beat Sykeston in the SEMO Conference tournament. Mm-hmm. And the headline was Charleston knocks off back-to-back number 1s. So we get to go over and face a tough Meridian squad, and that'll be a good
it's
good
a tough test, but it's a good test.
It is. It'll be good for us.
Since you're playing some teams that you're typically playing, and you're much better this year, it's good to play some teams that's going to give you a test later on in the year. Of course, you've always had a great test in the state tournament with Scott County Central, so that's going to give you some similar sort of test when it comes down to
it's more like a final exam. More than just a test, it's a final exam.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but Meridian, there's tough teams over in Illinois. That's good basketball over there right across the river, and Meridian will give you all a good test to prepare for later on in the year.
They're athletic, they're quick, big. So
and talk about the schedule part. It's one thing to play your toughest schedule, but you got to remember the other side of that is teams willing to play Risco. There's not a lot of teams that are even bigger schools, because if you're going to have a tougher schedule, you pretty much play all who you can play in Class 1 and even Class 2. So,
right.
If you're going to have a tougher schedule, you pretty much got to go bigger, and who in Class 3 or even Class 4 maybe wants to play Risco,
right.
So that's the other side of it. So you're kind of stuck in some regards, but some teams out there willing to make things happen. But I tell you, this year, the thing is, you've had a great run over the past few years, 2 straight district titles. Right. You're going for your 3rd this year, and you've had the same, and that's what I think makes the difference, is that you've pretty much had the same nucleus of players going through that run. You've got Bixler, Pavey, White,
Fowler.
Fowler, and then you got a younger Pavey right there to keep the energy going. So it seems like those kids being together through that run is just kind of coming to a head now, to where they're playing probably the best ball y'all have ever played. I tell you, it's something to see out there with the Tigers this year.
Risco getting the recognition of being ranked in the state, ranked number 3. We started the preseason ranked number 4, and then have moved up, to rank 3rd. That's huge, man. And you don't want to get too caught up in rankings and different things like that, but it's big for our kids, and it's big for our school and our community. I mean, you guys were there last night. You know, I think we had 500 people. We tried to get a pretty good count at how many people come through the door, and I think we had close to 500 for a regular season game. You know, and the excitement level around the community. There's people. There's older people coming out to ball games who haven't came in years. You know, but they're hearing the talk and they're coming out and supporting us well. And so it was just so great to see that huge crowd there last night, and man, I love that excitement. You know, that atmosphere and that excitement level there. We get to host districts this year for the first time in who knows when, and you know, we're really pumped and excited about that opportunity.
Sure. And last night, Bill and I called that game, and we were saying that there's probably not a better atmosphere to call a game from other than maybe Bloomfield, but just the tight quarters and how everyone's on top of the court, and it's so loud that there's not too many more places that you'd rather call a game from than Risco when it's that kind of atmosphere, and it was certainly that last night.
I'm sure the refs probably don't like it with everybody on top of it.
I know it. That's a different atmosphere. I mean, the crowd is just right there. It's overwhelming, but it's a great atmosphere to be in, and certainly enjoyed that last night. And Brandon, I know you've been Risco for how many years now?
This is 10.
10 years. I mean, you've been there for quite a good time now, and had good teams come through, but this one I'm the most impressed with just because it seems like I said before, everyone that comes in knows their role in the scheme, and it's a very risky scheme, and people, if they know basketball, they don't understand it, but as the casual observer might not understand how much risk you take when you play that kind of ball. But offensively and defensively, everyone is just contributing their part, and I've just been impressed with what you've done there this year and over the past years, the run that you all made, and certainly wish you all well the rest of the way down there in Risco. I know the community's behind you, and last night as we were leaving, they had the police car going around with had a parade. Basically a parade behind the police car going around town with the honking, the horn, the siren, and I tell you, it's a big deal in Risco this year.
They've started doing that every time we win, and we thought maybe because a lot of times it's late.
Yeah,
and we thought
it was about 9:30.
We thought we might upset some people, but man, people come out and they flip their porch lights on and off when they go by, and it's something to see.
It is. I mean, a small town like Risco, it's everybody buys in. It's a big deal. So it's very exciting down in Risco right now, and we wish your team the best going forward, and we'll be looking forward to having you on the schedule again. I know we have you all with Holcomb, I believe, down the road, which is going to be another nice game there in the Tri-County. Holcomb, very nice team this year down there with Seth McBroom.
Seth does a good job.
And also we have the Tri-County, potentially the Tri-County Conference Finals in Clarkton this year, which y'all's going to make another run for. So might see y'all down the road in Clarkton as well. So we'll be looking forward to seeing how it all turns out with the Tigers this year. Anything else you'd like to share with our viewers at all?
Man, again, just how our kids go at it, and how they go at it, and how they work together, and I'm just so proud of them, and just if any of them's watching or go to see this, just tell them to keep going, keep pushing, keep working, keep believing in each other, and they can accomplish a lot this year.
Sure. And the game last night with Leopold, you can watch today at noon and 6:30 here on YHC and online at yhctv.com through the live stream, noon and 6:30. And we'll also have a file available on demand on our website later on this afternoon, so you can go anytime to our homepage and watch that game. A good one last night with Risco and Leopold. And Brandon, we appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks, Tyler.
And sharing with us. It's always a pleasure having you on, talking about your boys, especially over the past few years, the run that y'all have made and continuing to make this year. And we wish you the best of luck going forward, and we'll be looking forward to seeing how it all plays out for the Tigers.
Thanks, Tyler. Appreciate it.
All right.